Most people with brown eyes have no idea what color their eyes actually are. Brown eyes are not a single color. They're a spectrum of distinct biological structures. And depending on how your iris is built, your eyes may be far rarer, more reactive, or more powerful than you realize. Most people assume brown eyes are all the same. Ordinary, common, generic. But that assumption collapses the moment you understand how eye color actually works. Brown eyes are not one category. They are a range of distinct biological structures, each shaped by pigment density, light behavior, and evolutionary history. And inside that spectrum are visual traits, hidden advantages, and trade-offs that most people never discover. If you have brown eyes, your eye color is not generic. In some cases, it is exceptionally rare. To understand this, we need to stop thinking about eye color as paint and start thinking about it as architecture. Eye color is created by how much pigment you have, what type of pigment it is, and how light moves through the layers of your iris. Two people can both have brown eyes and still have completely different internal structures. That difference is what creates the 7 recognizable types of brown eyes. We begin with the rarest and most misunderstood of them all, amber brown eyes. True amber eyes are not hazel. Hazel has multiple colors breaking apart across the iris. Amber does not. True amber is solid, uniform, and golden, almost copper-like, with no green ring and no color separation. This is incredibly rare in humans, though it appears frequently in predators like wolves, owls, and eagles. Biologically, amber eyes exist because of a very unusual pigment balance. The iris is dominated by pheomelanin, the yellow-red pigment, with almost no eumelanin, the dark brown pigment that normally deepens eye color. In simple terms, the dark pigment that usually muddies brown eyes is missing. Light passes through cleaner layers, producing that unmistakable golden glow. Geneticists believe this eye type may be the result of ancient genetic variations that survived in small, isolated populations, particularly in parts of Europe. If your eyes are solid gold without green or brown breaks, statistically, you are one of the rarest brown-eyed individuals on the planet. There may also be an evolutionary reason this pigment structure feels so intense. In the animal kingdom, amber eyes are common in predators. While humans don't share the same visual hardware, the appearance itself triggers subconscious reactions. Facial perception studies show that people with uniform amber eyes are often perceived as more mysterious, more intense, and sometimes intimidating compared to softer, darker browns. That intensity is both a strength and a drawback. Amber eyes stand out immediately, but they don't blend easily. They command attention, whether you want it or not. And that is just the first variation, because brown eyes are not one color. They are a system. And the next type reveals how physics, not pigment, shapes what people see when they look at you. Not all brown eyes look warm. Some appear cool, muted, almost filtered. This brings us to one of the most visually confusing and misunderstood types of brown eyes. Ash brown, sometimes called slate brown. At first glance, these eyes can look grayish, smoky, or even dull. But the reason has nothing to do with lack of beauty and everything to do with how light behaves inside the iris. In ash brown eyes, melanin is present, but it sits deeper in the stroma. The outer layers of the iris contain more collagen fibers, which scatter and block light before it can reflect cleanly back out. As a result, warm reds and yellows get muted, leaving a cooler, steel-like brown. This is not a pigment problem, it is a structural one. Light has to fight its way through a cloudy medium before reaching the surface. The hidden advantage of ash brown eyes is neutrality. These eyes blend effortlessly with different skin tones, hair colors, and environments. They don't clash, they adapt. This shade is often found in populations with highly mixed ancestry, such as Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. Genetically, it represents the merging of light eye and dark eye lineages into a single balanced expression. The downside is mostly aesthetic. Ash brown eyes can appear flat in photographs, especially under artificial lighting, because they don't reflect the warm spectrum as if their complexity reveals itself only up close, making them a subtle beauty rather than an obvious one. Now we move into a much warmer category. Chestnut brown, sometimes called cognac brown. This is where genetics start getting strange. Have you ever seen brown eyes that flash red, copper, or reddish gold in sunlight? That effect comes from pheomelanin, stepping into the spotlight, while eumelanin creates the brown base. Pheomelanin introduces red and yellow tones. Chestnut eyes often correlate with genetic pathways linked to the MC1R gene family, the same group associated with red hair and freckles. You don't need to be a redhead to carry this trait. Somewhere in your ancestry, those fiery genes likely existed. The evolutionary advantage here may be tied to vitamin D deficiency. Populations that moved away from the equator needed to extract more vitamin D from weaker sunlight, and these genetic traits helped make that possible. The trade-off is sensitivity. With slightly less dark pigment acting as a natural filter, chestnut eyes are more reactive to ultraviolet light. Bright environments can feel harsher, and eye protection becomes more important as melanin decreases further. We reach honey or russet brown eyes. This is where physics fully takes control. With less pigment-blocking light, the iris becomes partially translucent. Light enters, scatters across collagen fibers, and reflects back as a golden glow. It's the same principle that makes the sky blue, except here it produces warmth instead of color. Honey brown eyes are highly reactive to lighting. Indoors, they look brown. In sunlight, they ignite. The advantage is visual dynamism. The disadvantage is increased light sensitivity. Beauty, once again, comes with a cost. And we're still not done, because darker brown eyes hide an entirely different kind of power. As melanin density increases, brown eyes begin to change character. We leave the reactive, light-sensitive shades behind and enter the territory of protection and performance. This is where the darkest brown eyes live, starting with what many people mistake for black, but true black eyes do not exist in humans. What you're seeing is obsidian brown, the densest expression of eye pigment found in our species. In obsidian brown eyes, the concentration of eumelanin is so high that it absorbs nearly all incoming light. Very little scatters back out, creating that deep, velvety appearance that seems almost bottomless. From an evolutionary standpoint, this was not accidental. This eye structure evolved in environments with intense sunlight, where glare and ultraviolet radiation were constant threats. Obsidian eyes function like built-in sunglasses, filtering stray light before it ever reaches the retina. The hidden advantage here is visual stability. People with very dark brown eyes tend to experience less glare, less visual distortion in bright environments, and more consistent visual clarity under harsh light. Some studies have even suggested a correlation between darker eye pigment and faster reaction times in certain motor tasks, possibly due to how melanin interacts with neural signaling pathways. While this area is still being explored, the pattern appears repeatedly in performance-based research. But extreme density comes with preliminary studies suggest individuals with very dark eyes may have a slightly lower tolerance for physical pain compared to lighter-eyed individuals. The same biological pathways that enhance the reaction speed may amplify sensory perception. In short, you may react faster, but sensations hit harder. Step down slightly in pigment density and we arrive at espresso brown, the most common brown eye type worldwide. Espresso eyes still contain high levels of eumelanin, but not enough to completely flatten the iris structure. This allows subtle textures to appear. Small crypts, furrows, and radial lines become visible under direct light. These are not imperfections. They are structural fingerprints, unique to each individual. Espresso brown eyes carry an unexpected advantage. Research has shown that individuals with dark brown eyes often experience stronger physiological responses to alcohol. While that may sound negative, it acts as a built-in braking system. The body signals intoxication earlier, reducing the likelihood of overconsumption. Population studies have linked this sensitivity to lower rates of alcohol dependency in darker-eyed groups. The downside is purely visual. Indoors or under dim lighting, espresso eyes can appear flat, hiding their complexity. Their detail only reveals itself when light hits at the right angle. But not all brown eyes are defined by uniform pigment. Some are defined by contrast. And that contrast creates one of the most visually striking patterns found in the human face. The final category of brown eyes isn't defined by color at all. It's defined by contrast. This is the starburst pattern, sometimes called a genetic mosaic. If you look closely, you'll see a dense ring of dark brown tightly wrapped around the pupil. From that center, lighter streaks explode outward in gold, hazel, or even greenish tones. This is not lighting, it's anatomy. The starburst effect is usually a form of central heterosis. During fetal development, pigment cells called melanocytes migrate across the iris. In starburst eyes, those cells deposit a high concentration of melanin early, saturating the center. But as the iris expands outward, pigment delivery slows down. The result is a darker core and a lighter outer ring, creating a bullseye effect that the human brain is wired to notice instantly. The hidden advantage of this pattern is attention control. Humans are neurologically drawn to contrast. When someone looks at you, the focus is pulled directly toward your pupil. Eye contact feels stronger, more intense, more memorable. Studies on facial attention suggest that hidden contrast eye patterns hold gaze longer and increase perceived engagement. You don't have to try to be captivating. Your eyes do it for you. The downside is confusion. People with starburst eyes spend their entire lives answering the same question. Are your eyes brown, green, rail, hazel? The answer is usually all of the above and none of them at the same time. You are not misclassified. You are mixed by design. So how does all of this happen? It comes down to a tiny region on chromosome 15. That's the part most people miss. If you have brown eyes, you don't just have a color. You have a layered optical system shaped by physics, biology, and thousands of years of human migration. Your eyes absorbed radiation near the equator. They adapted to forests, plains, and mixed ancestry. They carry crypts, furrows, and patterns that are mathematically unique across the entire history of the species. So go look in a mirror. Use natural light. Look closely. Which of these shades is actually looking back at you? The rare amber, the muted ash, the glowing honey, the deep obsidian, the classic espresso, or the unmistakable starburst? Tell me in the comments. And if this changed how you see your own face, hit like and subscribe. Because this isn't about vanity. It's about understanding the biology written into you.